Welcome to episode 83 of the Left Behind Game Club. This week, we play Broken Age. To follow all things Left Behind Game Club, follow us on Twitter at Left Behind Club, on Instagram at Left Behind Game Club, and on our website at leftbehindgame.club. On this week's episode, we play an adventure game, something that not all of us are familiar with. Let's let the game's creator Tim Schafer explain what Broken Age is all about.
Story about a boy and a girl, and they both have two different parallel stories going on, and the player can jump back and forth between them. A young girl who's been chosen for this big honor that she finds out is actually being sacrificed to a horrible monster in order to save her town. And her story is about choosing to break out of that arrangement. And then the boy has grown up alone on a spaceship that takes care of his every needs and creates entertainment for him and takes care of his food, his health, and everything, but he's all by himself out in space.
Thanks, Tim. Let's get right into it.
You're listening to the Left Behind Game Club.
Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCord, and today I have three friends with me. The first friend, you know him, you love him. His name is Travis Colenutt.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi, how are you?
I'm good, you?
I'm great. Our second friend, you know her, you love her. Her name is Jessica Fantauzzo.
Hello.
Hello, and back for yet another game is Katie Lesperance. Hello, Katie.
Hello, you pirate.
Well, it's funny. I brought the pirate thing because one of your favorite adventure games, I'm sure we'll talk about later. I don't even know how that happened, but I did it.
Look at you.
Here we're talking about Broken Age, a video game developed and published by Double Fine Productions, released for Windows, OS X, Linux, Ouya. Do you guys even know what the Ouya is?
Ouya. I have literally no idea.
Do you know what the Ouya is?
I recall.
Yeah.
I know what it is. I just really like saying it.
Ouya.
Ooh, yeah.
iOS, Android, PS4, PS Vita, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, originally released on April 28th of 2015. And again, that was the full version of this game because it was broken up into many parts. Something we'll talk about. What did you guys know about Broken Age before we started playing it? We will start with Katie.
I knew that it was a Kickstarter game and that I would have told you I think it's an adventure game, and that's about it.
Okay. And what's your experience with adventure games? Because I know that you actually really like them.
All the Monkey Islands. Like all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, The Curse of Monkey Island is the best. But all of them, I adore those games. Adore them.
And did you play any of like the other LucasArts kind of games?
So that was when I was pretty little. I would play basically any demo that came out of any of those games. I would play them.
Yep.
But like, you know, you ask your parents like, hey, gonna get me this game, and then you get some of them and you don't get others. So I put all my everything into Monkey Island. I was like, give me all those.
And I think you've said on this podcast that your favorite game is Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge, right?
How dare you? It is The Curse of Monkey Island.
I apologize.
I clearly just stated that 2 minutes ago.
Well, I wasn't listening.
Apparently.
So, and Tim Schafer...
It's also a very good game, LeChuck's Revenge. That's a good one.
Tim Schafer, who wrote this game, also was a writer on Secret of Monkey Island and Monkey Island 2, so that's probably why I was...
Those are very good games.
Travis, what did you know about Broken Age before we started?
Absolutely nothing. Like most games that you make me play on this thing, I usually don't have a clue. Most of the games I come into this thing, I'm just blind. I no idea what I'm getting myself into.
Okay. And Jess, what did you know about this one?
I think you said the words point and click, and I said, okay.
Because what's your experience? It's similar to Katie's, right? That you really like this style of game?
I feel like I'm going to regret saying this, but I feel like Katie has played like legitimate point and clicks. And no, but like you've played like actual like studio developed bigger. I've played like all of the like her interactive Nancy Drew point and clicks.
Don't talk those games down.
And that's why I said instant regret.
Yeah,
because some of them are fantastic. But I grew up playing like Phantasmagoria, like way, if I want to go like way back, like I grew up playing all of the like PC point and click adventure games.
Is Phantasmagoria like Sierra or yeah? So she played LucasArts games, you played Sierra games, so like we have a good spread, and Travis and I are just
these I've never
games.
even heard these words before. Yeah, no, nothing.
I was a backer of this game actually, originally back in the
Ooh la
day.
la.
Yeah, so look at me. You said you knew it was a Kickstarter. Do you kind of know the history behind this one?
Nah.
Other than the Kickstarter now.
So they are still to this day one of the top 5 biggest Kickstarters for video games ever on the history of Kickstarter. But they raised $3.33 million for this game.
Oh my god.
Which is enormous, and at that time was the largest Kickstarter for video games ever. At the time, a lot of the pundits in the games industry were like, "Hey, does this mean that developers need publishers still? Like that's how big?" And I know you're making faces because it's not the case. Like they still need publishers, but that was how much money was raised and how different this was from like
That's crazy.
yeah, from like original publishing standpoint.
Was this like vastly different at the time that it came out? That like people
The
were
game
really,
or the
Yeah,
model?
like why were people backing this so much?
Well, the whole thing about it is that Tim Schafer worked for LucasArts, and he made some of the most classic point-and-click adventure games, Maniac Mansion, Full Throttle, Grim Fandango, and these games hadn't been made for 10 to 15 years. And
Okay, so it's people like me who are like, I want more of that, so I'm gonna give you my money to make me another one of those, please.
I guess that makes sense.
yeah, and that's exactly why people jumped at it, because they're like, we don't get these games. And originally, Tim Schafer had said, hey, we're going to make this game for $300,000. It'll be a Flash game. It'll be great. And then we're going to spend $100,000 on distribution, on marketing, on like Kickstarter rewards, and ended up making $3.3 million, which changed the path of this game immensely. It wasn't supposed to be in 2 parts, and then it was in 2 parts. There's also a documentary online about it, but we'll talk about that more a little bit later. If you had to give your fast pitch on Broken Age, how would you pitch this game in 1 sentence? Why don't I start? Broken Age is a tale of 2 cities, but the cities are human beings.
I like it.
Jessica.
Okay.
No, you stole my idea.
Did I actually?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. Now your turn.
A tale of 2 humans in different cities.
Oh my god.
Travis.
Can we iterate on that?
I don't even know how to iterate on that. A tale of 2 point-and-click heroes in different areas of the world. There we go. I broadened it out a little bit for you.
A tale of 2 humans amongst really weird people and things in really weird places. Not on Earth. I don't know where the one is.
Who knows where this is?
I honestly don't know. But yeah, that's your
That's
sum
the
up.
longest runoff sentence I've ever heard.
The end.
Before we dive into actually kind of how this game was played, how did you play it? I played it on Nintendo Switch, and I regret playing it on Nintendo Switch.
Oh.
I was a backer. I had it on PC. I just should have played it on PC. I gave Jessica a PC copy.
This is what you do. You just buy games twice, though.
I'm an idiot. With Jessica.
I played it on PC.
And you actually played it like on a relatively like low-end graphically machine, right?
How dare you? No, you're totally right. I played it on my Microsoft Surface laptop.
And it ran pretty decently.
I had no problems.
Yeah, just the intro, the Double Fine intro chugged, but that was it, right? Like the
Did
Double
it?
Fine logo, yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it load in on any other device, so I can't. I didn't notice that it chugged, but nothing else. Like I had no problems at all.
How'd you play it?
Oh, the Switch.
Your child.
The thing that I.
What do you call it? My child,
child,
the Switch.
My little baby.
And Katie, how'd you play it?
On PC.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we got a good spread here. Travis, I want to ask you, because I said I regret playing it on Switch. There was one advantage to playing it on Switch where you could actually use the right stick to find things to interact with.
Yeah.
But I just found it was really clunky to use like on a console.
I just don't know. I'm ignorant about these things. I don't know how you actually would play this on PC. Is it with a mouse?
Like,
Yeah.
so what?
You literally. I
You
don't know.
point.
What other way?
I guess point.
would there
Like
be?
you literally
You point
take-
and you click.
and you
Yeah.
click, and that's it.
So wait, you would flick the stick up and it highlights
So
things in
the
the environment
left-
you can interact with?
Yeah, like the left stick, you would move around freely as if it
Yeah.
was the mouse, and then the right stick you could flick, and it would just kind of switch to whatever is interactable.
What?
Oh.
Okay, that's kind of
So
cheap.
it was cheap, but it helped me a lot because
I'm
I was
sure it
if I
did.
was lost and I was like, I don't know where to go, and it just kind
Oh,
of went.
that's such a cheap
doot,
adventure
doot,
game
and
thing.
like,
Because you have to
Yeah.
like search around. I mean, the cursor would change when you were over something
yeah,
you could
no, this
interact
would
with.
just go all.
But that's so
over-
much easier to
Yes.
overlook something rather
Yes.
than having the cursor like.
Yeah, you have to like search the entire screen to make sure that you're getting everything.
This
Yeah, no.
podcast is canceled.
Let me go replay it. The Switch.
So how does Broken Age open? Because it's actually a really unique game, I think, from a point and click perspective, in that you play two characters in two very different parts of the world that you can switch between at any time, and if you get bored, you can switch back to the other player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how did you start the game? Did you play the two characters Vella and Shay? Shay is in... It's not a spoiler to say in a spaceship, right?
No.
No,
He's in
a
space.
spaceship.
And then Vella is in kind of a...
Little town.
Little-
Like a fantasy town, small town.
Sugar Bunting.
Sugar Bunting.
Yeah, called Sugar
What a
Bunting.
wonderful name for a town. I love that name.
And they're all bakers.
Yeah, I love it.
I want to know how you guys started the game, because I actually played Act 1 in 2014 when the game first came out, and then didn't finish it and just played it now for the first full time through. So I want to know how you started the game. Did you play both characters flipping back and forth? Did you like finish Vella through Act 1 because this game is in 2 acts? Or did you kind of go with Shay all the way through?
I started with Vella. I would switch back and forth. Not often, but it was basically like if I got kind of stuck, it was kind of, I thought I had kind of poked around everything and tried all my options, I'd be like, all right, I'm just going to go to Shay. And then I would do that for a little while. So I switched back and forth a couple times, but not a ton.
Okay.
I started with Shay because obviously, if you know me at all, I'm going to pick the sci-fi.
Space.
Yeah, give me the sci-fi space route rather than the fantasy village route.
Yep.
Then again, conflicted because strong female characters are my thing.
true.
So if you're going to give me that, no, he had a really cool blanket. So that's what
It came down to the blanket.
Yeah, it was like a virtual blanket that came
No.
onto him. So I was like, oh, this is where I'm going to go first. So I did Shay. I didn't do Shay all the way through Act 1. I did most of it, and then when I felt I was at a point where I had done most of the puzzles before I moved on to the next little section, I jumped over to Vella, and I kind of did the same thing with her when she moved from like
each room.
not each room even, but even like each main area.
Okay.
Right? Like, so like Shay had his first little set of puzzles and then he meets someone. Vella had like her first little set of stuff and then she goes to the clouds. Like it,
Right.
So I kind of like did their little sections individually at a time and jumped back and forth until I reached the end of each act for both of them.
And I started with Vella, who is a complete badass.
Oh yeah. She's
Like,
terrific.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Not to say that she isn't, who's voiced by Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Who does
Elijah Wood.
such a good job.
I did not know that was Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you guys
Me neither.
told me, but I was just like, I didn't know that's what his voice sounded like.
The voice cast is wild in certain respects. Will Wheaton's in this game.
Isn't Jack Black in this thing?
Jack
Yes,
Black
he
is
is.
Harmony Lightbeard in this game.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And like the voice cast is even Jennifer Hale plays
Jennifer Hale, yes.
mom.
Yep. I
who is
love-
Fem Shep in the Mass Effect games.
I love Jennifer Hale so much, and I heard her voice and I was like, Jennifer Hale, yes.
Yeah, and people always forget. They're like, yeah, they go to Elijah Wood, Jack Black, and Will Wheaton first, but
No.
Jennifer Hale's in this game
She's
too.
terrific.
Yeah.
I did this a little bit differently than you guys. So like I played Vella basically the entire way through Act 1 until
okay.
it booted me. Until like I couldn't do anything, and then it booted me to Shay.
Nice. Interesting.
And your comment, and sorry if I'm like getting ahead of ourselves, but you liked Vella as a character, but I don't know if you liked her.
No,
Act 1.
No, I started playing and I had like the highest hopes. I'm like, yeah, like point and click adventure game. I'm gonna love this. And then I think about 15 minutes in, I'm like, I do not love this. Like this is not like just thematically like just not my jam. And then eventually when I switched to Shay, I was like, okay, I get this. Like I liked the sci-fi, so I kind of regret, and I wish that I had started with Shay knowing what I know, just because I think I would have probably had a little bit more excitement in playing through. I loved the characters in the first act. I just think her
Is it setting? Because I know that you're not like a huge fantasy person.
Not so much. I don't know if it was setting. Like it just felt like, especially her in Act 1, like it just all felt very juvenile.
Yes.
Like it didn't grab me. It didn't grab me as much as I think Shay would have had I started there.
Yeah. So where do we start? Do we talk about Shay's storyline, or we talk about Vella's? Because this game, like I said, is a multi-act game where you get to a certain point with one character and you cannot pass until you do the other character. So it's split into 2 acts. So why don't we talk about Shay's first act to start?
Yeah.
Which Shay lives on a spaceship.
Yes.
And he is surrounded by not humans. He's surrounded by big robot heads on screens and yarn pals that make sure that he, does his chores and eats his cereal and lives his life and has space adventures, right?
Yeah.
He lives in like a Kinder Price nightmare. Like even like, not to get ahead, but like once you start moving around the ship, like you get to the little control panel, and it's got like, it looks like a toddler's rec room.
It's like
Yeah.
a fake control panel, with little...
And they squeak when you touch them. Yeah, Fisher Price for sure.
It ends up being adorable.
Uh-huh.
But it starts out a little Kinder Pricey.
Oh yeah, but I think that's the intent,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
it's totally the intent that like he is on this spaceship that is traveling through space with his 2 computer parents essentially, and we don't know what the reasoning is behind it.
We don't know where Dad is.
We don't. Yeah, like
he's out in space.
Dad.
You don't even know if Mom's real.
Right, like that's the thing. Mom is a glowing red orb, and Dad is a blue orb that comes to him at night. It's like literally there is nothing going on there, and he has a bunch of like little space missions, and you can tell this would have been great for a child, but clearly the computers have not kept up. At least that's the impression that you get, right? Like that he's doing all these things and it's these same little like save the world missions, and it's the systems hasn't caught up, and he's definitely bored of it, and he wants some actual action, maybe a little bit more sense of danger, a little something different.
Yeah, because I think your mom set you on a few different adventures really quickly, like save the runaway train.
Oh my gosh.
And there are these adorable little yarn pals that are just yelling about, you need to save us!
Hilarious.
And really all you have to do is like
they click a button to make the train not crash into the ground.
Yeah, and they think you're a hero.
Yeah.
And you also save people from Ice Cream Mountain as
Oh my
well.
God. Literally one of my favorite lines is one of the yarn pals is like, help, I'm lactose intolerant. And I couldn't. Oh my God. It was so funny. Like the writing in this game is hilarious. And there's so many moments, like especially I found in Act 1, there were so many charming like moments that you're interacting with other characters, and there's just really, really funny moments. I wrote a bunch of them down, but like it's help, I'm lactose intolerant was one of the ones that got me real bad.
Yeah. Well, you even wrote about cereal before that, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah, because when he goes to like his the robot kind of like brings him to the kitchen, and he has to like have his breakfast, and it's like mission nutrition, and I'm like, that's perfect. Literally, that's perfect.
And you had to flip through different cereals, right?
Yeah, you could. Splarg was my favorite.
It was a running joke, really.
Yeah, Splarg was a running joke.
Because it's actually it's an acronym, isn't it? Splarg is an acronym for like...
Are you kidding, honey? You love Splarg. I loved it.
Oh, and what were some of the other missions that like he was set on besides Ice Cream Mountain
and the train? Then there was also like the saving the yarn pal from an attack, but it ends up being a hug attack.
Yeah,
it's literally like he gets attacked by hugs, like, and they're there to like be his friends and everything like that. Like it's really, really funny.
And so imagine Shay as like an angsty teenager who like hates his parents and who hates everything he's going through.
Yep.
So he's trying to look for something else to kind of experience in his life, and that's where he starts to, I don't want to say go to the dark side, but that's when he meets a very special friend in the underbelly of the ship, right?
Yeah.
Merrick.
Yeah.
What did you think of Merrick?
Okay. That's where I had a different opinion.
Okay.
I think generally of the game. I was not that big of a fan of a lot of it.
Okay.
There's
okay.
a lot of things that I was just like, nah. I didn't think most of it was that funny.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Especially Act 1, I was like, all right.
No, I felt Act 1 was funny
care.
compared to Act 2.
Didn't care.
Oh, really?
At all. There was one thing, like when the cereal, you can keep on clicking through the cereals, and I was like, oh, that's funny. That's like your classic adventure game. If you just keep on going, they'll just keep on giving you jokes. But like most of it, didn't think it was that funny.
Oh, no.
I didn't like it. So I was going along, and then Marek shows up. It was like this very soft-spoken
wolf,
weird wolf thing, and I was like, okay, I don't get why there's a wolf here. But all right, like something that we're throwing something in there.
Yeah.
So yes, so there's a wolf guy, and he's very mysterious, and he's like, there's a mission that we have to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. And the voice actor is a I don't want to say he's an unknown, but he's not someone who's has the profile that someone like Jack Black or Will Wheaton would have. But like he delivered like I don't want to say like a chilling performance, but like
a little bit.
He was very creepy, and that's exactly what he's going for, and he nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of starts to set you on a different path where you have to complete a different mission, which he doesn't want Mom to know exactly what you're doing, and you kind of have to go behind Mom's back to accomplish this mission.
Yeah, you're just kind of ripe for the picking, right? Because you're, like you said, the angsty kid who's like,
I
what
want
is this?
something real in my life.
And like, this can't be it. And you're telling me like Mom doesn't know everything.
Right.
Yeah. But at this point, and I think it's something of note where it's like Mom is still kind of like Mom in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right? Like where she's still like the computer module, and like Dad's like a joke where you kind of assume he's like some sort of like systems operate. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you don't.
He's HAL 9000. He's
the-
not a real human.
The impression I got was that there are no human parents
Right,
here. Like,
exactly.
That was I don't know. I still don't know if I believe that Mom and Dad were intended to be real people in Act 2.
No.
I don't feel like...
No.
I know that there's like some discussion about this on the internet. I've looked it up because I felt
you
this
think
way.
that they changed the story?
I don't know. I know there was a gap between Act 1 and Act 2, but the way...
I think the spin is intended.
The spin is
because
intended?
it's set up in a way to give you expectations and then flip them. Maybe
I like,
see what
and
you
that's the
mean.
thing. I see that the intentions could be flipped, so that way you're not like, this is the obvious route, and then no, actually there were real people the whole time, and we just kind of spun that on you, and I'm cool with that. It just read so much like the intent was there. It's probably just the rug was being pulled out from under me when the reveal happened that they were actually alive humans.
Yeah, I think I can see it both ways. I can see it either like A, they didn't plan for it, or B, like the execution of that joke in the reveal just didn't quite land. Where it just felt like
the
how,
surprise.
like it felt more of like a plot hole rather than like a surprise.
Right, because Shay specifically refers to them as computers. Like, and he does reference that later on where he's, saying like, "Oh, I'm sorry I called you a computer" and stuff like that. But like,
didn't you know? Didn't you know?
Yeah,
they were
maybe
there?
because she's only been appearing to him as a computer for like years.
But then, like, why aren't his parents interacting with him?
There's a lot of things that don't make sense.
Well, that's
here.
what I'm saying, right? Like, so there's some plot holes there. It's kind of like, okay, so why aren't his parents interacting with him then? Like, why? Like, physically, he has not seen his parents in how many years then? Like, I don't know. There's some questions there where it's like, I get the pulling the rug out from under us and making us, like, subvert our expectations. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. You really set up the idea that this is not a real person.
But even in Act 1, so like when the mom is like, her control room is locked off, and she's like, "Don't come in here, mommy's getting a surprise ready for you." Like, I don't know if they completely didn't set it up, but maybe it's just like they didn't execute the landing as well as they should.
Maybe
have
that's
on
what it is, right? Like,
I don't know what the intention was.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what the intention was, so it just makes me think, was the intention that they were actually robots the whole time? Like, I don't know. So
Okay, so with Marek, you are set on a series of things you have to do. You have to find a new star chart, which is your very cute way of traveling around the galaxy, is putting your star chart into this like knitting machine that helps you travel. You have to go out into space
and
on the spaceship.
Or you have to go out into space so you can use like the arms of the spaceship.
That's it.
To grab
and Gary.
grabbing Gary. His little like. So we haven't really talked about this part yet, but like really the whole idea with this point and click adventure game, if you've never played one before, is that you have to actually go around and you're clicking on different items in the environment to then collect to help you solve puzzles, right? So early on you get like a Grab and Gary, which is a little robot that lets you grab things, and later on in the game, even stuff across acts you may not even realize you are using will help you solve puzzles by like grabbing those items and putting them in place. So you go into outer space, you put Grab and Gary on the boom arms of the ship so that you can actually help save these little monster creature things. It's kind of Space Invader-y looking.
Yeah.
But
and like you discover things like an inflatable version of yourself an inflatable Shay, and essentially you get through a bunch of different tasks you have to complete. And then that's when the climax kind of happens, right? Where you have to find these Space Invader people,
Right.
grab them, and then your ship starts to malfunction, right?
You get
Is that-
I think you're under attack essentially, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing like a claw game where you're having to grab these little Space Invader alien creatures, and Marek's telling you like, "Oh, we're under attack. We have to get out of here." And Shay's like, "No, I need to grab this last one." And he goes for it and he grabs it, but then the ship gets under attack, and then it kind of. I literally wrote down in my notes, Elijah Wood saw the Eye of Sauron because there's a
that made me
moment.
so happy.
There's a moment where
that's great.
it's just this glowing orange eye in the black sky of space, and I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, that's the Eye of Sauron. Like
Everything he does is
it's
connected
literally
to the Lord of the
it's
Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
and that's when his there's a malfunction, and then that's the end of his story, right?
Yes.
Until the end of Act 1.
Yes.
And then if you played Vella, Vella's story is entirely different, and I think you actually traverse more ground as Vella in the first act.
Definitely. There's a lot more places to go as Vella.
So you start in Sugar Bunting with your family, and they kind of let you know that, like, hey, you're being sacrificed to a creature called Mog Chothra. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Everyone's very casual and very normal about this, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna sacrifice a bunch of you to this big monster."
And
thing
it's not
that comes
just
to
you;
town."
it's your friends in Shellmound.
Yeah,
It's your
and it happens in all these towns
Every
and
14
and
years.
That's what we do, and you're all gonna die. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Aren't you so happy? That
I
you're
wish
gonna
I was
get-
you.
Yeah, you're gonna get sacrificed, and that's amazing.
And you're going to save the town so Mog Chothra doesn't destroy the village.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah. You should be so happy.
You're a hero.
great, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
As a character, I think I liked Vella more.
Oh, for sure.
Because there was more and it was the way it was written. Like, Shay was a very one-dimensional, flat affect kind of character.
I like them both almost the same.
Really?
Yeah. I have a hard time deciding one over the other.
I think Vella, it's nice to see such a strong female
Yes.
character, and she's that way throughout. I don't know if you were. She
doesn't take
I don't
anything
know
from
if you wrote
anyone.
this one down, Travis.
Oh.
But there's a line at the end where I don't want to spoil anything, but she does something,
Yeah.
and then the other character responds with I thought you were a baker, and she's like, I can do that too.
Yep, exactly.
She's just sassy and confident through the
Oh,
entire
for
thing.
sure.
Yep.
And it's fantastic.
She's just more interesting because Shay is just
A deadpan machine.
He's and I get it. That's
I
the
love
intention.
the deadpan, though.
I like
But he's
the
not
deadpan
funny.
as well.
He's not
no,
funny
see, I
deadpan.
found
I
it
thought he was
funny.
so dull.
Oh, really?
Whereas Vella's this logically makes no sense. Why are we doing this? Why are we sacrificing people to this monster?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we fight it? And she was just, which to me is yes.
Hilarious.
I come
Yeah.
from it very logically, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this doesn't make sense. Why are we doing this? So to just come at it as this is stupid. Why are
Yeah.
we doing this?
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, Masasa Moya was the voice actress on that one, and she was one of the better ones on this game. But I think it was writing. It was.
Yes.
It was.
Yes.
It wasn't Elijah Wood can do stuff.
Try it again.
Elijah Wood can do stuff. I think it was just Tim Schafer's deliberate writing
Yeah.
as being deadpan.
I like Shay, and I think I also liked him because he brought a different perspective on a lot of different things where you knew what Vella's intent was, and it's not that you didn't know what Shay's intent was either, but it's he had a different perspective on talking to new characters and
Yeah.
the way that he treated some of those interactions I thought was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
So you understand the craziness of what Vella's going through, and that's when you were actually kind of brought in front of Mog Chothra, right? Which is, what was your first impression when you saw Mog Chothra, the giant monster, for the first time?
I was like, okay, big alien.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did it look like if you had to describe
a
it?
brain.
A brain with a lot of eyes.
A
and
brain with
tentacles.
diamonds.
It's a very sentient looking thing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie though, and again, spoilers, but I had a weird feeling about this monster right from the get-go.
What was your feeling?
I was like, I don't buy this. No, I'm not even joking.
Really?
I
I
don't
didn't have any. I didn't have any kind
I was
of.
like, I don't buy this. I think maybe it was in the way that he moved, which again is very much brain.
Yeah, it's
Right.
Synapse
a
connected.
like a
Right.
jellyfish that's just kind of shifting side to side rather than moving up. It's got tentacles. Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing much.
I just took that as the
there.
limitations of the game. I didn't actually take that.
Video game.
No, but I
they
mean,
can animate anything.
I guess, but how the
There's a
game.
choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just took it as like this is the way the game is played.
The animation in the game is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
It's incredible, even for 5 years ago. It looks like a storybook, kind of.
The art style
2D.
was fantastic right off the get go.
Yeah, and the animation was really good too.
Yeah.
I just wanted to put that in there. So you approach Mog Chothra along with a bunch of the other kind of maidens for the Maidens Feast that are being
all
sacrificed.
hilarious too.
All in their own way.
They were
funny.
all hilarious.
I really liked those.
Yeah, one was a bigger boned girl who was just eating the whole time, being like, "I'm offering something different for this Mog Chothra."
Did she have a southern accent?
I just imagined her having a southern accent.
Also, Jacob did a shimmy while he did that impersonation. I just want to say.
She had a drumstick, not a rib. She had a drumstick, and she's like, "You want to take my drumstick?"
Well, there it is again.
Good thing. Good thing she had that drumstick because it came in handy.
It did. And the other girl had water, and essentially you stole things from the girls as they were being taken by Mog Chothra.
Yeah, they're all getting picked off
to escape using a seagull to get out of the situation you're in, get out of Sugar Bunting, and explore one of the other 2 environments that you get to explore as Vella. So from Sugar Bunting, you move to Merriloft, and in Merriloft, you meet more characters.
You beat up Mog Chothra, essentially, and then...
No, you don't beat up Mog Chothra.
You escape him.
You just escape Mog Chothra.
How do you get away from him?
You stick something in his mouth.
Oh, yes.
No. This is
I'm confusing two different things
all that
together.
You do
Yes.
is you're like, I need to get out of here.
You get the seagull to come close enough.
Yes,
that
the bird
grab-
takes
you
you.
cut yourself out of your dress,
Yes.
and then you just take the
bird
seagull.
takes you. I
Yes.
forgot about
Yeah,
that. Okay.
and you go to Merriloft, which is in the clouds, and that's where you get to explore a bunch of different areas, and you get to meet a bunch of new characters. One of my favorite characters in the game was the guard.
Father.
Further.
Yes, Father is the first person you meet, and Father, or one of the first people you meet. Father is great.
Yeah.
Why is his name Fither?
Oh, so in Merriloft, everyone follows the teachings of Harmony Lightbeard, who's played by Jack Black, and according to Harmony, you want to kind of lead a very light life, including kind of losing some of your possessions. So with Harmony, you give up some of your vowels in your name to just show how light you are. So a lot of the characters will be,
Carol.
Walter, Carol,
Yeah.
Curl,
Curl.
Chit, instead of Chet. It's a really funny thing.
Yeah.
The more they say it.
Yep.
I thought the funniest part was the wife
Yep.
of Walter.
Walter.
His wife is like, yeah, it's this thing he's into about his husband. He's following this guy. I don't know, whatever. I'll let him do his thing for a bit, and like, this is all nonsense. That again, same thing. I didn't find most of them funny.
Really?
I don't know why. I don't know if it was the mood I was in or what. I don't know if it's how slow everyone talks or what it was. But most of the people, I was like, I was
no,
fine.
because I really liked when you're like Shay or whoever would say like, "Hey, Carol," and she'd be like, "Oh, it's so nice to hear that name again." Like just even like just the writing is just so funny.
The wife made me laugh.
Yeah, the wife made me laugh.
Yeah.
Carol
Carol.
before she becomes Carol.
Yeah.
Carol was probably one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Walter.
Walter was probably one of my least favorite characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so boring.
And the kid.
Yeah, but see, Walter was voiced by Richard Stephen Horvitz, who plays Invader Zim.
Okay, I love Invader Zim,
who
but
plays
I don't know.
Rez in the Psychonauts games. I think he was.
I thought Invader
fine.
Zim was hilarious. I don't know.
I think
It was fine.
I think the cast of characters is so strong as a whole.
Yeah.
That I think like Walter was just like at the bottom of the list. for me.
Writing
Yeah.
or voice performances?
Writing.
All the voice performances were great.
Yeah, whenever I talk about it, it's writing.
Okay, so you go through Merriloft, and you essentially find your way to Harmony Lightbeard and take a ladder. Like, you solve a bunch of puzzles. I don't think that people want to hear us
And that's
digest
the thing.
every
It's
single
just-
puzzle
no.
here.
There's so many puzzles in this thing, and you're running around trying to figure out what items go where and interact with what person. And a lot of the times, I think I was annoyed a lot with Vella's cloud stuff, because until I got the cloud shoes, the point and click walking was probably my least favorite part of the point and click adventure.
It might have been easier on PC.
That's what I'm
thinking. Because you can click right on the cloud where you want it, so you kind of go around where you want to exactly. It was very easy.
But it's just so
with the
slow.
PC.
Like, I'm just like, I click where I want her to walk, and she then walks there. I wish I had direct... only in these cases, I wish I had direct control over my character so I could just walk them where I wanted them to go, as opposed to like having to move around my mouse and click, and then move my mouse a little farther and click, and move my mouse a little farther and click. Right?
Me and Katie are laughing.
we're like,
oh,
yeah, that's fine.
I know
That's
that's
what
the
you do.
point of the game,
No,
but
I
I've
know.
not played one of these before, and I think that was the only thing I didn't like about the
fair.
point and click aspect, is the slow pace of the walking.
Okay.
I think the movement overall was a little slow, and I think especially by Act 2, I was a little...
And that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think because you're running around going from person to person, if you can't figure out a puzzle right away, I'm just trying every item on every person to see
Yeah.
what kind of action I get. And you know, so it's taking a long time, and I'm also going through I have to listen to every single answer because I don't know if this one's going to be the right one, right?
Another thing, it's a little nitpick with adventure games, is that sometimes they would say, if you ask them the same question, instead of saying an abbreviated answer of what they already said, they would say and the whole
Right.
conversation would happen again. And I was like, no, you
you
need
could
to shorten
skip
this
on
up.
the Switch.
You could skip it,
Okay.
but no,
She
typically,
wants a new abbreviated version.
Right.
yes, typically that's what would happen, is that they would shorten that conversation right up to be like, oh no, you did that, and there's nothing else to come from that conversation.
Right, so
You
that
don't have to say it
conversation
again.
just go away.
They would do like back and forth 3 times of the
Right.
same thing, and I'm like, no, you don't have to do this. Like
Right.
this, it's a little thing, but it bothered me.
Once you get through Merriloft, you go down to the final kind of environment in the game, which is Shellmound.
Yes.
Shellmound or Shellmound?
Mound, I think.
Shellmound.
I think Shellmound had some of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
in
Shellmound.
her area. I really liked the hipster Curtis.
Yeah.
He
Hipster
was
Curtis was
very
very
funny.
It's funny. You want to know the funny story about that?
What?
So in the demo of the game, they only had the lumberjack character working as like a character, and it was just used as a proof of concept for the Kickstarters to be like, yeah, this is what the game's going to look like. They had a lumberjack, and the outcry about how cool the character was so much that they actually like brought him into the game.
Oh, that's funny.
yeah.
No,
You know,
I thought he was one of the better secondary characters.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
funny. And then Deadeye Dawn and Deadeye Courtney killed me.
Yeah.
I
So
loved
describe them.
Okay, so essentially, as you're going through Shellmound, you find what is supposed to be like this cave of like treasures and stuff that's been there for 300 years and everything like that. And you have to get past these 2 guards. They're both blind, and the one is like, we're the Deadeye Druids, and my name is Deadeye Dawn. And this is Deadeye Courtney. Like, it's just like hilarious stuff, and you pretty much just have to like interact with them. Their story progresses later on in the game, and I loved it. But they were just really, really funny. I liked them a lot. There was even like I played with the subtitles on.
Me too, same.
So you would get some really hilarious subtitles when the girls would like be trying to sing the Mog Chothra song or something, and in preparation for the next Maiden's Feast, and you would get like little in brackets like tunelessly singing the Mog Chothra song like over the thing, and I was like, just little touches like that made me smile, like stuff like that.
There were also some other good characters, including the kind of mayor of Shellmound,
Yes.
who's like the bumbling idiot that all of us know in our lives, but like secretly is good at like 1 or 2 things, and they put him in charge of this town.
Right.
And he's preparing for
A Maiden's Feast.
in his town.
Yes. So essentially your goal is to get Vella into that Maiden's Feast so that she has another chance at fighting Mog Chothra. Once you get past the 2 Deadeye Druids to get into the what seems to be like a castle.
The Deadeye Gods like pyramid almost.
It turns out to be a guy from Loruna, the same place that Shay was from, that put himself in cryogenic freezing for 300 years, and you help him kind of get his ship working so that they can create a death ray so that she can shoot a death ray at Mog Chothra when he shows up for the next Maiden's Feast.
Great.
Yeah.
Just great.
Just lots of fun. So
I don't know, man. I was like, what? He's from this place. Like, none of this makes any sense. Which I know is the point, but I was not on board.
Okay, so none of it really makes sense until you shoot down Mog Chothra.
Yes.
It's like the only boss battle in the game,
Yeah.
kind of, where you're running around the beach after, you've entered the Maiden's Feast as in Shellmound, and you figure out that you need to put like an extendable ladder in his mouth and shoot the death laser inside Mog Chothra's mouth in the case he like crashes down on the beach. And that's when the big reveal happens. And I want to know what you guys think, because I think when I first played the game, I was shocked because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't shocked this time.
Well, like I said, I kind of had like a fishy feeling about Mog Chothra from the beginning.
Yeah.
So when it crashed, I'm like, yep, it did. I knew it. So like that shock wasn't there for me.
Oh, it was not.
Nope.
But did you think that was what the thing was? Is that Mog Chothra is actually Shay's ship?
No, that part was like, okay, I thought that was interesting.
I didn't see it coming. So I don't know why. I knew that there's two different stories. They're going to intersect in some way. And I thought the intersection was coming with Alex, the guy who is in the ship that Vella's finding. And I'm like, okay, it's going to intersect some way here. I really didn't clue in because I thought it was both stories were coming of age stories, which they are, of Shay getting past, wanting to be smothered by his parents, and Vella getting past the expectations put upon her by society, right? I get the themes there. I didn't expect their stories to actually intersect in this way. And when that reveal happened, I was having a good time with Act 1. At the end of Act 1, when that reveal happens where Shay falls out of the ship, and then you switch places and the ship closes and you then start all over with Vella and Shay, literally same starting screen, but in reversed roles. I was like, holy, this is terrific. I loved it. I was really this is so smart. I loved it. It was great writing. I loved every aspect of that. And then going forward is where I start getting more and more frustrated with the game.
I thought that would happen. Yeah, I was surprised, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." It reinvigorated me a little bit. I have to say, we skipped over my favorite character.
Oh, who?
In the entire game, the whole game,
The tree?
the tree.
Oh my gosh, the
was
tree.
my favorite.
The tree is in Act 2.
What? No.
Vella still has the tree.
No.
Vella
The
chops the
barfy
tree.
tree.
Because you both interact with the tree.
Shay interacts with the tree.
Yeah,
I know
they
you both do. Vella
Because you
does
flip.
too.
Vella does the
Yeah.
beginning,
I'm just
though.
saying.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Just
first
saying.
interact with the tree.
Yes.
That the tree was my favorite
Tree's hilarious.
of the whole thing.
So describe what this tree, what his bid is.
Well, he hates, his whole thing is that he's upset at anyone who's cutting down trees to make anything, or murder happening to his fellow trees, because he talks. And so, yeah, I know he's very upset by anything made of wood or anything that he deems is an assault on fellow trees. And it was just kind of dry and a little twisted. The humor was a little odd, twisted up, which I really liked.
Yeah. One of the puzzles that I think sells the tree really well is when you have to get him to vomit.
Yes.
Because you
Right?
need his sap.
Because you need his sap for another puzzle. So you have to collect driftwood, and I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but you have to have what's the
Curtis
make
make
a
you a
stool.
stool. You show the stool to the tree,
And then you're like, look at
And
this.
It's pretty like this mutilated tree,
Yeah.
essentially, and he
It was funny.
barfs, which
Yeah.
is hilarious.
Right?
He barfs out sap. It's great.
Yeah.
This game for sure. So I just looked it up. It's an E10 game for ESRB, and I knew
Probably
it was going
because
to
of
be
that?
probably because of that.
Yeah.
Because it's just a little twisted,
little twisted.
and sometimes there's some humor in there that you're like, oh, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
The Shay segment with him was even better.
There's
I was
some
like, oh, more tree humor.
There's some humor in here that teeters on oh, this is adult. I remember specifically one where if you grab the spoon and put it on Shay, because I was trying all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, so I think it's fair to say that Shay has a series of talking
yes.
utensils.
So he has a talking spoon, and you take his talking spoon and you put it on Shay, and Shay's like, I don't think I want to put that anywhere on me. And the spoon says, I'm up for anything. And I'm like, oh my God.
oh my god!
I mean, I think
It's
the
hilarious.
talking knife.
Dutch is a talking knife
Yeah.
who's like a gangster also. How's my Dutch impression?
real good,
We're all
very
just-
accurate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
did
you.
like the execution of having to play through the first environment in reverse.
Yes.
I
Yes.
thought that was
exactly.
really
I
clever.
Yeah, I
really
like that
liked
too.
that you started over and you flip flopped and you got to then interact in the opposite direction with both of them.
And I think that's the end of Act 1. let's move on to Act 2. Act 2 is where the whole game fell apart for me. I don't know how you guys felt.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think I liked... I mean, I was hit or miss on the whole game. But I did not dislike Act 2.
From a story perspective or a gameplay perspective?
Gameplay, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with gameplay.
I liked Act 2. I thought like the puzzles are definitely
were much more challenging. They were much more like adventure game challenging. The first one was very just you're just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah. The first one was very much like straightforward. And this one I think like in certain points I think it got like a little too challenging, especially towards the end.
And I think that was my problem with it, was like I loved Act 1 and the culmination in like the end of Act 1, and then Act 2 just starts like just was this downward spiral for me of like the puzzles were too hard. I was kind of annoyed at how much like running around I had to do, and I couldn't figure out some of the things. Like a lot of the stuff wasn't intuitive enough for me to answer these, like get these puzzles done correctly. Like I was using a walkthrough for most of Act 2. I was using a walkthrough. Act 1, I didn't look at my phone at all, and I was working on it, and I felt like everything was intuitive. Everything kind of made sense. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this for this, and that makes sense. But when it came to Act 2, there was stuff that just came way out of left field for me, and I was like, how would I have ever known this without looking?
I had to get a couple hints to like get me started. Like I was like, I'm stuck, and then I would look through a walkthrough, and I would get the first little inkling of something to get me going, and then I would, for the most part, be fine.
Yeah, and we actually got so I put some questions out on Twitter, and one of the questions we got from at VG Rations, Video Game Rations, they asked us, did you have to look up any puzzles? You guys have given your answer.
Yes.
I had to look it up 4 or 5 times until we got to the end of Act 2, where I think for the last half an hour I just used a walkthrough.
I think I was using a walkthrough.
Because I was very tired, and I'm like, I'm not going to get this, and I don't want to spend 3 hours on this, so I'm just going to use a walkthrough.
Yeah,
I used it for hints otherwise.
Yes, I had to ask you for help a couple times at the very end when I was
because I finished it a day before you did.
Past the point of even like trying to figure it out in Act 3. In Act 2, I think I didn't really struggle until you needed to solve the Hexipal.
Yes.
Right?
I think that's where I started really using a walkthrough, and then I just kept going for the rest of the game with that.
And that's where I think point and clicks can become really frustrating, where it's like if it's not intuitive, even if it's like you know where it's headed, but it's challenging, like that feels better because at least you know what direction to head in.
I didn't feel like I had a goal.
When it's something like that pattern was on something random that I would have never paid attention to, that's where it kind of feels cheap.
Yeah.
And frustrating.
Yes. And I kind of wish there was maybe a hint system in this game, or
a hint system would have been fantastic. Like,
is that a normal thing in old school adventure games?
No, old school, no.
No, use a guide or like a helpline.
I don't even need a hint. I just need
the whole answer.
No, I don't need the whole. I took the no, but you know what I would have liked is just maybe more of a line of dialogue where maybe like, oh, maybe I should go back and talk to this person, or like maybe, oh, I think I saw this over there, like something to point me in the direction of what I needed to look for.
Yeah, typically they don't do that.
No, and that's the thing. I kind of wish I had that to point me in the right direction, so that I wasn't just aimlessly putting. I literally got to the point where I was putting every object on every person to see what would click. And sometimes I was like, well, I wouldn't have known that. I think really frustratingly...
That's not good gameplay.
No.
That's old school adventure game.
But see,
you combine everything with everything and try and use everything on everything.
It didn't even work sometimes. There was a puzzle with Carol and her fish hooks, and you had the crochet hook. You couldn't give... The crochet hook is the correct answer. But... in order to make her...
You had to work through her dialogue first, right?
Not even just that. You had to give her a talking fish that fell out of Harmony Lightbeard's thing into the tree, to then give her the fish first and then give her the hook. But the hook was the right answer. I was right, but it didn't give me... like, I wouldn't have gotten there otherwise.
But you do try and give her the hook, and she says... basically like, no, that thing won't work.
Right, but
like,
then
you need to prove it to me that it works.
But I didn't... I took that at face value, like that thing won't work, because there's lots of... every item got dialed.
True.
Sometimes the dialogue was like, I don't want to fork that. You know, like there's basic like, or like, sometimes you give them an item and there's actually a back and forth about it. And so I thought it was just one of the basic back and forth. Sometimes Shay or Vella will just say, oh, I don't think that'll work here. You know, it's just a generic
Right.
line
Yeah.
because they didn't give a dialogue for every item interaction with every person.
That is something that I've definitely experienced in other games where it's like you need to do something else before even like if you have the right item, like you need to do A before you can do B.
Yeah.
So that didn't frustrate me as much.
It can be frustrating. Don't get me wrong.
I'm not
but-
experienced
but
with
that
these,
did
but-
not so much.
Yeah.
I think at CSG Thomas put it really well on Twitter when he said that the second part felt way more like classic adventure games from the past, while the first part was more friendly to novices of the genre.
And that's probably why I liked the first act a lot better, because I felt like I was making progress without needing any help. Right?
Yeah, same. I like the Act 1 way better than Act 2.
When I was like, oh, this feels good, when I did have to use a walkthrough to get the clue about to look at the one picture for the Hexipal. But then once I had the picture, and then I was like, oh, it's in order and this and that. And then I got out pen and paper and drew out which position, what's each symbol. And then you had to figure out each one. I was like, oh, this feels nice.
Yes.
But
using
I
a pen and
had
paper.
to, yes. But then I had to use a hint to get to there.
Right.
To figure out that that's even what I needed to do.
Yeah, I used a pen and paper too, but right above my pen and paper scribbles in my notes was,
It's like,
I
what
hate
the
this
hell is
puzzle.
this?
Yeah, I hate this puzzle. And
Oh, I made the rookiest mistake with that too. Like once you get the wire, and you have to like try to pull it from the different nodes on the Hexipal, I was clicking. And I'm like, I can't even get the wire to go on, and like I didn't realize I had to like
you tried to
freaking
like
drag it,
fix it.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
and I'm like, I have I know I have the right item,
Yeah.
but I just like couldn't, and that was just me being like tired or something. Like I couldn't figure that out.
Do we want to give the high level kind of synopsis of both stories? No.
I have no idea what happens in this whole game. I'm sorry.
Really? And you play the whole thing and you're
I
just
played
like,
the. I know what happens, but like if you're like, hey, lay it out for me, I'm like,
You know what, though?
know. I was so
Act two's-
exhausted with this whole game.
Act 2's story.
Darwinism. That's what this whole game's about.
What?
Yeah, Act 2 got really confusing a little bit, and I think like some of the plot holes were kind of like showing in like if you really think about the logic of like how did Shay's parents not understand that this was happening, blah blah blah. Like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't totally make sense, but essentially the gist of it is Shay's parents and Shay were on a fake spaceship that was going around collecting maidens because there's this community of people that believe in this genetic purity.
Oh yeah, that they are a higher level race,
right?
than
But
these
they found
people.
out that this genetic purity made them fragile, which I guess really isn't purity when you think about it. So they had to like sample genetic like material from like people on the other side, like that were
The
not
race is called the Thrush.
right.
Yeah.
So
I had to look that up.
so like people in Bunting and Shellmound and all these other places, they're on the other side of it where they're the impure ones, and essentially they were manipulating families into having like so Shay was manipulated into selecting the strong. For some reason, Shay has this ability
Intuition
to,
or
this
whatever.
intuition
Yeah,
to
see, that's not explained. I'm
right.
sorry.
Yeah, he's got this intuition to pick the best females. I don't know, and then he selects them with his machine, thinking he's saving this alien race in his game, and essentially it's just very messy. And so
Yeah.
they take the genetic information from those people and then add it to their DNA so that way they survive better.
I mean, it reminds me
messy.
of it is so messy. The whole like higher class, and then they're more fragile. That's an old kind of
They're
story.
all inbred. They've
There
had
you go.
literally no genetic
it's an
change.
old story.
Yeah.
Like it's an old thing. Like the Time Machine, the book where it's like there's the higher level race.
Spoilers.
That I know if anyone is waiting.
I haven't seen it yet.
No.
I've been waiting for the last 17 years.
I was going to say the book, which is even older, but you know what? I'm sorry, everybody, if you haven't read it yet. Anyway, there's a higher class of people that are like,
Right.
they have overcome all these things and like they're immune to diseases and all this stuff, but like they're like dainty little fragile
Right.
things. And there's like the underdwellers that are used to surviving things, and they're like, a lot harsher.
So yeah,
hey, guess what? Merrick is one of them, and he's not a wolf at all.
No.
Right, and he's an
exactly.
alien
So
underneath
he was-
that wolf
Why is he
costume.
wearing a wolf head?
Why is he wearing a wolf costume?
He
That's what
could
I'm
just be
saying.
like, yo, dude.
But this is why I felt like some stuff.
Shay wouldn't look at him and be like, you're an evil alien, if he was just like, I'm your friend,
No, but
I'm
this
an
is
alien.
why I felt like some of the stuff in Act 2 felt not what was planned, right?
That's
like
true.
suddenly Marek is not a wolf and he's this weird alien guy. Suddenly Shay's parents aren't robots. Suddenly like there's just a lot of like pulling the rug out from under us. Like I know that there was one that they were very on the nose about, which was I thought initially Alex, the guy that Vella met that was in suspension animation, I was like, could he be like Shay, like 300, like in suspended animation, but like
That's
an
what I had
adult
thought.
Shay?
And they joke about
And
that.
they joke about it very on the nose, like, so wait, are you the adult me? And he's like,
No.
he's like, I can't believe there's another Shay around. He's like, my name's Alex. Like legit, there's just like they're very on the nose about it, and
Yeah.
they took that and they subverted it. And it was really good, but at the same time, it's almost like, was the plan for him to be?
And they
like,
make the same joke as well when Shay's dad comes in and he
Yes.
says, "Are you me from the past?"
right, exactly, literally, yes. You know what
your
I mean?
dad, son.
Yeah, I know. So it's really funny, and like even the idea that like here's dad in like you see his blue face sometimes, and he popped out of the sand, and like he's actually a whole person, and he was just wearing like a helmet over his head the whole time, or that the mom was actually just like a glowing face because she was putting her face through like
a VR helmet,
a VR
essentially.
helmet to look around the ship. Like it's just there's stuff there that's funny and it works, but also makes me think that it wasn't totally planned.
Yeah, the more here's the thing. I think I was out on the plot the whole time. So the plot not making sense in Act 2 didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
So I was just like gameplay puzzles because I already didn't care very much.
I
so I
see.
think that's why whereas you are more coming at it from plot.
Yes.
And you disliked the puzzles.
So I was
you're like,
having a
I'm
hard time
all
with
in
the
on the
puzzles,
plot.
and the plot was failing me.
Yes.
And so I was like, oh gosh, this is like something is not working here for me anymore.
Yeah, I was the same as you. I think that it's fair to say that Jess and Katie, you had similar experiences, and maybe it's because you like have played a lot of adventure games in your lives, where like Travis and I are newbies, where the plot starts to fall in Act 2, and part of it doesn't make sense. And
you're
even
like,
in
that's the only
end,
part that I liked.
I'm like,
that you liked. I
I'm
mean.
like, wait, you're gonna bring up this alien race DNA purification storyline, and like all we're gonna get is a little bit of exposition at the end, and that's all we're gonna get.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, like, to be honest, though, like, I don't think the story and that part of the arc was well executed. I wasn't fully disappointed until the end, because I thought there was going to be some sort of cutscene to like help fill in some of those holes.
And I think like you
Or
also
even show you where the characters go at the end of it. It's
Right.
just like, hey, everyone's good.
Yeah.
And it just
The
kind of
end.
ended.
I
And
think
that's where I was
the
like,
thing.
okay, that's
Act 1 was very much.
that was a terrible sound.
Yeah, that was my
God.
wet fart sound.
Jacob made that with his mouth. Just a heads up.
I was going to say, I think like the story in Act 1 starts very much like a coming of age story. Shay is trying to get out, like I said earlier, from underneath of his parents smothering him, and Vella doesn't want to live up to these expectations that are being imposed upon
it's very
her.
grounded.
Yes,
in,
and
in
then
emotion, and then it gets really loopy.
And then Act 2 just really doesn't deliver on those things. Yes, Vella overcomes Mog Chothra, and you know, Shay comes to welcome his parents as who they are, I guess. But like, it's very flimsy, and there's not a lot of that grounded like story isn't there anymore for me, which was the driving force initially.
Yeah, and I think part of my problem is that Shay is in Vella's world and Vella is in Shay's world, and you almost have to build them up, their relationships up again entirely, but they don't do any of that in the story.
Yeah.
You do some cool stuff with like Harmony Lightbeard, where you find out that he's completely a fraud, and there's like cute moments there, but like there's no new relationships that are being built up because you're too busy solving the other person's story in the other world, and there's no chance for these characters to interact in a way that builds the characters up.
I felt like for some reason Shay's world had easier puzzles for me to figure out. Like, so Vella in the spaceship was easier for me than Shay in Sugar Bunting, or not Sugar Bunting, but like Shellmound and all those other places. Like, I felt I had trouble with Vella's area because I felt like everything was very far away. I was going all the way from Shellmound all the way up and all the way down, where if the spaceship everything felt very close, and you got to take literally one of my favorite things in this game is those teleporters The teleporter ladies are hilarious.
Really?
Literally hilarious every single time. Yes.
They were super
Val.
Hi Mel.
Yeah,
That was
no,
my
but
I
really
thought that
liked
was
the
super
idea of
cute.
like, oh, I love de-resing new people. Like, or like the
Please work. Please work.
yeah, literally, like they're literally just working, and it's super hilarious to me that she's like, oh, I hope this doesn't fry your head. Like, like just all these things. She's like, there was a moth on one of the sensors. Like, they're just the three of them were really, really funny. And I did like the puzzles with that, but I think it also, the fast travel helped get me around the spaceship a lot faster. So it didn't feel so tedious to do the spaceship stuff.
Thank God for the double tap where you could travel through worlds quickly.
And that's pretty standard. Is to get to the next screen.
I didn't realize that until Act 2, and I was using it like constantly in Act 2.
Should we talk about like story beats or puzzles we really like?
We can do both.
Yeah, why don't we hit the story beats first?
So Shay's main objective on the ground in Shellmound is to collect items to help restore Alex's ship.
Yes.
So he needs to find like all of these like fancy futuristic sounding
hyperscopic gyrocam or something like that.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Some of the dialogue with that was actually
That
really
was funny.
Do you have an anti-gravity thruster?
And they're like, what on earth are you talking about?
So you need to loop in the mayor and why do I always forget his name? He's no longer a woodsman. He's a
Curtis.
He is now working with metals.
Yeah. Yes, because he's such a hipster. He's like, oh,
he does it for his art.
Yeah, like
it's done. It's over.
Yeah, woodworking is over and done. And I'm
funny
only
thing
with
Curtis was his whole thing of the trees are talking to me. That he's like killed all of these trees and that he's built all these things out of wood and that he's paranoid about the trees and he's like cut out all the trees out of these pictures in his house and like that made me laugh. He's like, they're like, why'd you cut the trees out of that picture? He's like, because they were talking to me. It's kind of dark and I liked it.
Yeah. And it's funny that he's going to he goes to like metalwork and he's like, oh, I'm gonna start I'm gonna try to sell these and blah blah, not for the money, no, not for the money, because I need the money so then I can move on to the art. And it's like, okay, Curtis.
That's when the art happens.
Yeah, that's when the art happens.
So you've collected all these pieces for Alex on the the Shay side. On the Vella side, you have to do a bunch of repairs to the ship.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it.
Yeah, you're just repairing. You're repairing the ship so that way. But doesn't the ship get captured? Like the ship gets. Marek takes over the ship, and you're going back to.
Yes.
Oh, and you're preparing a bomb. So
yeah,
part of Bella's stuff is preparing a bomb.
Yes. So you're preparing the bomb. And you have to work your way into the control room where you. Basically have to like dupe Mom into thinking you're Shay.
Yes.
Which I thought was like
confirmation that she was a robot.
I did like that, getting the clues from his room, from his like trophy room, and figuring out the answers to all the questions.
So what was
It was nice. I do appreciate that the game, if I failed, it sent me directly back to the trophy room, because if I had to walk back to that trophy room every time I got it wrong, I would have shut this game off.
I didn't think it was that much worse than if you walked.
No.
Because it wasn't that far.
But I mean, there was a similar thing with the knots.
Yes, they did that with the knots when you're trying to solve the puzzle. And I thought that was nice, because you're right. If we had to walk back to Carol every single time,
I would have
lost my mind.
Yeah. I did really like that knot puzzle.
Yeah,
because that was a little bit more like, oh, you had to describe the knot to Carol, but you had to use different words of like, what does it look like? And it was like these broad answers like, oh, these
bunny ears under a bridge.
Yeah,
a ship.
It kind of looks like hands in a bucket, or like
Yeah.
fingers in a bucket or something. Yeah, it kind of. So you had to look at what they sent you, or what the knot looked like, and be like, which one of these things does this most look like? And yeah, I had like a bunch of pictures on my phone, because I like took a picture of the knot and then was like, what does it look like?
What did we do before smartphones?
Right? Well, no,
for adventure games.
You drew it, probably.
You drew things.
Ooh.
No, that's what you did. You
totally.
drew things, or you like did your little arrows on a piece of paper. Or you drew out the map, or
the point on the ship where it became really frustrating for me was
the story when they all come together, because like there's separate stories, and then there's a story of like Shay and Vella almost working together, right? And that's kind of your act 3 in your brain, right?
Yeah.
The climax of the game, is that what you're talking about with the Hexipals?
No.
No.
What were you
Yeah,
talking
you're
about?
kind of working concurrently with each other.
Isn't it Act 2 where you have to lure over the little, like... Oh, no, that is Act 3. That is Act 3.
There's no Act 3, but
No.
like there's like Act 2, Act 1 Shay, Act 1 Vella, Act 2 Shay, Act 2 Vella, and then there's Act 2 Shay and Vella.
Yeah,
like,
you start having
Right.
to do things kind of at the same time. You have to switch back and forth
Yes.
to do things
Oh, but
together.
were you talking about the drawing the Hexipal over to repair the door so you can get out of the control
The control room.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that one was fun. I guessed that one.
the wiring of the Hexipal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. You're in the
You have
camera
to direct them
as
by
Vella,
like breaking things
and
so you
getting
follow
the
those.
repair Hexipal to lure all the way to the control panel
Oh
door.
yeah. Didn't like that.
No, that one was actually
That
fine
was
for me.
fine. That
Yeah.
I didn't
was
need to walk through
particularly
for that
hard.
section, which was fine.
Yeah. Once you figure out that he moves,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, okay, and then you just kind of follow
I just
along.
thought the ultimate climax of the game where you're flipping back and forth and you're essentially figuring out a way to get both of your Mog Chothra ships.
Yes.
Oh my
So we haven't
God.
even talked about that because like Alex, his ship finally lifts off. Your ship that you are as Vella is approaching the plague dam. You've bombed the place. Both of you are essentially. Oh boy, this is confusing. Vella's Mog Chothra goes to the plague dam. No. Shay's Mog
That's the
Chothra
thing.
goes
You don't
to
even
the
know what's
plague
happening
dam.
because who knows?
And Vella's is trying to escape. You guys come together, and the climax of the game is as your Mog Chothra ships or your Operation Dandelion cruisers are together, is just how are we going to escape this? It's a mess. It is such a mess. I'm like, what am I doing again? This last hour, I'm like, what the hell am I doing in this game?
That last little bit, I didn't know what my goal was. For the flipping back and forth, I didn't know until like one of them said like, "Oh, I want to melt down the ship," and it's like, why? Like I didn't know why we were melting down the ship. I just kind of was like, okay, I
then
guess
you escape. I guess even though
I
you're
didn't know.
inside the ship?
Yeah, like that's why I was like, why would
know.
we melt down the ship? Like I didn't know how this was going to work out, but no one gave me the direct like instruction of like we need to like Vella should have just said to herself like maybe if we melt down the ship we'll be able to get out of here, like something. But like I guess I was just jumping back and forth hoping to solve the correct puzzle, and I the constant rewiring of the
Oh my
Hexipal
God.
was driving me nuts.
I was livid. I was so angry.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Like I was ready to throw things. I
Hey,
was so mad.
I was home alone and I threw things.
Oh my God.
I whipped my. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Because if you do it wrong, basically, the mom goes down, finds the hexapal that you set to like set the destination, and then apparently she takes that hexapal, puts it back in the hallway
And
where it was,
rewires it.
and rewire. Why is it rewired?
Exactly.
Why are you making me rewire it every
Every single time.
I cannot tell you how mad I was. I
Yeah.
was furious.
I had to do that sequence probably about 4 times.
I know.
Because it kept resetting.
And I was like, if I have to do this one more time, I'm gonna lose my
I'm
mind.
just gonna watch the end of this thing on YouTube.
Yeah.
because
Honestly, I
yeah.
was so mad.
I only redid it once. That's only because I followed a walkthrough step by step. And the only reason it didn't work the one time is because I accidentally forgot to turn the power on the ship Shay was on.
Yeah.
And then I ended up...
Why did we even turn it off?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I had to go back down, turn on the power, but then that reset everything.
Oh, God.
So
Yeah.
I had to do Shay's thing again and Vella's thing again because
God.
both got reset because it messed up.
And
so
that's
mad.
literally the last sequence of the
Yes.
game.
So it is.
and it's the most frustrating.
It's the worst taste in your mouth at the end of this. Like I finished it. And I was like, great, I did it. Awesome, it's done.
and there was no payoff.
and there's no payoff, and I'm still pissed off and furious.
I wish people could see your body language. Like
I'm
you're
so
shaking.
mad. I'm so angry.
Yeah.
It was frustrating.
It was disappointing because I really had a really good high at the end of Act 1.
Yes.
And I was so glad to be done at the end of Act 2. And I was like, what happened?
And by the end of Act 3, you're like, thank God I'm done this game.
Yeah.
Which is not how I want to feel when I'm
No,
done a game.
I know.
Ugh. I'm so mad.
Yeah. So you do things and the things and the things.
And I didn't hate this game. I just left me extremely frustrated. I don't
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
sound like this game is... it's not. It's a good game.
Is it?
I think so.
It is. I'm being facetious.
If I summed it up
Yeah.
and added everything up, and I'm like, it has so many good things. The environments are super creative. Like, all the worlds, I was like, oh, this is like an interesting world. especially up in the clouds. That
Yep.
was interesting. But yeah, I don't know. It just,
Playing it was my least favorite part.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So playing the game.
Like, I love
Yeah,
the
that's
art,
fair.
the animation, the music, the voice acting.
The writing for me was just like, I found it hilarious. I know like it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I found a lot of this game hilarious.
Yeah.
I found I was appreciating the hilarious stuff less later on because I was frustrated with the game. Because of the puzzles, I stopped really listening to everyone's responses to things. I just wanted to like finish.
Yeah.
And I wish like I would love to go back and like see some of the quippy, like hilarious little moments because that kind of stuff really gets me and it's funny. But I was at a point where I was like, I just want to be done. And so I kind of was giving up on, listening to anyone say anything.
Yeah.
One of the adult jokes that, because you mentioned
Yes.
adult jokes, and there is one, and I died.
What
And
is
it didn't happen very often, but that cracked me up. Because you have this tap that you can use on like a fruit.
I don't want to tap that.
No. It says, Shay, there's the fruit tap. I tried to, because I was just using everything on everything.
Right.
Tried to use it on Twyla, the like
Oh, okay.
moody girl on the
Yes.
swing. And Shay says, I don't think I can tap that. And I was like, no, Shay, no, you can't. You don't have a shot.
Oh my god.
Sorry,
Just
Shay.
imagine Elijah Wood in the booth.
Oh my god. No,
Oh my God.
I don't think I can tap that.
Yeah.
I want to ask a question that we got via Twitter. It's actually from this. It's from a little breath at a little breath on Twitter. They ask, what is your favorite hidden gag? Your most exciting moment of discovery? Your biggest laugh? Your most touching moment? Just talk about some of the moments we haven't already covered that you loved in this game. Did you write any more in your notes?
I think I've mentioned most of the ones I liked. Like I said, there was a lot of really little hilarious like tidbits all over this game. I can't think of one right off the bat. But
Like, what about Vella's grandpa and how like he always loves to lick frosting off
Yes.
everything? Like, it's the little stuff.
But that wasn't even. That was like actually like a solution to one of the problems.
Yes, it was.
Right?
Yep.
Carol, like always, like you said, like always jumping into the dialogue with like every time somebody would call her Carol instead of Carol.
Yeah.
she'd be like, "Oh, that sounds so good."
Oh my god! Oh, and the ending to Deadeye Dawn and Deadeye
Yes.
Courtney ending up like realizing that both were lying about being blind and both were lying about like you wanting to like for the other. I was only doing this because of you. I want to go into graphic design. Like it's just hilarious. And then they took off their robes and jumped on a bird and flew away naked in love together.
It was
and
great.
I loved it.
That was great.
I loved it. And then even in the credits, there was like you caught little like snippets at the end of like where everyone was, and there was two girls like just sitting down doing reading books or something like that. And I was like, oh, it's Courtney and Dawn. I was so happy about that one.
If you took the hammer Hexipal at the end and didn't put him in front of the drum, I accidentally like put him in front of the harp.
Okay.
And he like starts banging on the frame of the
Oh,
harp.
nice.
And,
That's solid.
I thought those guys were super cute.
Yeah.
I thought,
That's really good.
I love Dutch, and we haven't given Dutch
Dutch.
enough.
Yeah.
The like gangster knife. He talks about like cutting other people.
He just wants to
and-
cut everything.
Yeah,
He's
I
like,
just
yeah, we
wanna
can cut that.
the banter between Vella and Dutch as well,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Like they start going off and like calling each other like buddy and like that they're gonna like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
there's a
really good
camaraderie there,
Yes.
and they start to really like each other. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back second time around with that tree, and you were trying to tell him a joke.
Oh my gosh.
This is literally
Yes.
my favorite part of the whole game was this stupid tree. And you're trying to tell him a joke that makes him laugh, but you have to go through a few options
Right,
first before he will
right.
even present you the options that would work.
What joke did you end up going with? Do you remember, or do you have your
Something
favorite?
about a palm tree.
Oh, really?
Yes,
I know
that was the one
mine.
that worked for me too.
Yeah.
I know mine.
Something about a hand hire or something, and it was like,
That's a
palm
handy tree.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
think a couple of those lines worked.
Mine was it's did you hear about the National Tree Bank or whatever? And then he's like, yeah, and then did you hear about the National Tree Bank? And he's like, oh, it closed. He's like, what? I go to that bank. He's like, don't worry, they just opened another branch.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
But yeah, some of the missed jokes are like, so an or a woodsman walks into a bar. He's like, you mean a murderer walks into a bar? And he's very fired up.
Yeah.
And he made me laugh a
Yeah,
lot.
it was, there was a lot of really good stuff in there too.
We get another question via Twitter at WTF Famicom asks, not once does Jack Black's character say skadoosh. Why is that?
Well,
What?
Maybe a little on the nose, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Skadoosh.
What?
Skadoosh. Like
What
he-
is
It's a Jack Black thing.
It's a Jack Black.
Is it?
thing.
I don't know enough
He
Jack
just-
Black stuff.
Neither do I.
He just says that.
I guess he doesn't say it because he's Harmony Lightbeard.
Well, yeah, because he's in character and he's a professional. That's why.
We got another question from the NMac. He asks, "Man, I love Broken Age. Why hasn't Double Fine done another new point-and-click adventure game beyond the remasters of the old LucasArts ones?
I don't know.
Is the market?" So I watched the documentary series, the whole thing, back when it first came out, like years ago, and Jessica and I watched episode 1 and episode 20 last night, just seeing the beginning and the end. And what I appreciate about the documentary series, it's enormous. So I don't know, like, if that's a thing you would watch, like, all in one shot, because I watched it over like a 2-year period. Like, they put out these 30 to 40 minute videos
it's a series.
every 6 weeks or so.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'd be like, oh, okay, I'll watch this. But I can't imagine you'd actually sit there and watch like 600 to 800 minutes of documentary footage. But they were very honest about how the game did. And their COO, Justin Bailey, who's now at Fig, which is like an alternative to Kickstarter, he was very honest about, like, we didn't make a lot of money on this game. Like, they broke even and maybe made a little bit. So maybe that's
They
why.
made like how many $1 million in the Kickstarter? How did
3.3. But they went on to make a project that took them essentially 30 months to make.
I guess.
With a large team. Not a large team, but like...
I guess you got some high-end
And spent,
voice
voice actors,
acting.
cost
Yeah.
some money.
Yeah, and you marketed the game, and it sounds like they put in just as much money as they got from the Kickstarter. So, like...
That's crazy.
What they said is, interestingly enough, is that budget-wise, some of their other games... So, Psychonauts was a $2 million game back, like, on the PS2 Xbox era. Brutal Legend, which is one of their other games, was the rock and roll heavy metal game with Jack Black, that took them $20 million to make. So Broken Age falls somewhere in the, like, I think what we surmise is $6 to $7 million mark, and they didn't make much money off of it.
Interesting.
And I'm surprised it even made money, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very niche game, right?
When they said, hey, we put it on PS4, they only got $100,000 worth of sales. No, they were getting like $2,500 in sales. 10,000 in sales. They weren't doing that well.
Not a lot of sales.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of sales.
And I mean, I don't want to like,
Speculate or
speculate
poo-poo?
on anybody's like business decisions, but it's like, I would ask, like, is PS4 the right platform
No,
for this
it's
game?
not.
Like, it just presents a whole new set of struggles. I think the fact that they were able to raise that much money in such a short amount of time does indicate that, like, it is niche, but like there is an appetite there.
I guess, like, I would be... As someone who doesn't have nostalgia for these kinds of games, I wonder if you're going to get a lot of people who are nostalgic. Like, you're only going to get the people who are nostalgic for these kinds of games.
Yeah.
Like, I think for me to play another one of these, I would need a lot of quality of life changes, like easier movement with my character, or the ability to, like, or a hint system that I can turn on and off, or, you know what I mean? I need something like that to make the process not as frustrating in order to make me want to play something like that. I mean, if the dialogue was as funny as it was in this game, I would play something like this again.
Yeah.
But I'd need some like Monkey Island. The thing is, if it's mechanically like this, I'm not really interested in doing that again.
It's harder.
See,
Well, it's not harder. It's different. There's more items. There was not a lot of items actually in this game.
Yeah.
But some of the adventure games, some of the puzzles are just like not intuitive. Like, it's just kind of random.
Yeah.
Some of them are intuitive. Honestly, this game made me question: would I still like adventure? Like, if I played Curse of Monkey Island for the first time today, would I still like it, or was I just more patient?
Yeah. Is it all nostalgia?
No, because not nostalgic, because I liked it when I played it first time.
Yeah.
Am I not as patient? Do I not have as much time on my hands to try and figure out all these puzzles like I used to, where I would just toil away at it? Like, I don't know. So it made me question everything.
You know what? I'm also of the mindset that, like, I was frustrated at the end because I was like, I need to finish this game for this podcast. And there was a small time crunch for me at the very end where I just finished it yesterday. And maybe if that time crunch wasn't there and I could just slowly chip away at the last puzzles, would I have felt any different? I can't tell. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel like I had a time crunch for Act 1, but because I took a little bit of time to start Act 2, I'm wondering if that didn't help either.
The puzzles were way easier.
How
than
long
Act
did
1,
this game
too.
take you? Because I looked and it took me 10 hours and 1 minute.
I was probably
about 10.
10-ish hours, yeah.
I felt a crunch, but I also finished it yesterday, but I definitely felt the crunch more just because I thought that there was going to be a bigger payoff at the end.
Yes.
Like I thought there was going to be a really nice wrap up of
everything.
And like it just didn't exist. Like it just like we said, like it just ended.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, at the end, you melt down the ships, and then basically Vella and Shay just kind of walk towards each other and look at each other, and they're
smile.
like, "Hey," and they smile,
And that's
it's done.
Yeah.
And it was kind of sudden, and
I get it. They're trying to like replicate the intro screen, whatever, but like it's a real wet fart of an ending.
But I had so many questions of like, where did Mog Chothra come from? Like, who started the mythology?
What
like,
is this?
Like you had pointed out as well. Like, there's also some dialogue around the grandmother being part of the.
Yeah, the grandmother's one of the aliens too. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
she takes off her hat and she's like,
didn't
"Look
make
at I'm an
any sense.
alien."
Why?
And there's a lot of cool stuff, like I was explaining to Jess. I'm like, yeah, so she was implanted in Sugar Bunting. They were 300 years ago a people that were more violent, and she was put there so that she could like quell the violence and make them subservient to Mog Chothra. But like, I'm only speculating, right?
And I somehow managed to miss that piece of the dialogue.
It was in a Vella and Marek interaction that that's kind of optional.
Right. And there was a last option, and at that point I was just like,
you're done.
Finished.
You were like, I don't care.
And I skipped the last question back.
Yeah.
See, and I am of the mindset that like, okay, I can understand and I see where you're coming from with the plot, like why there's so many questions that I didn't get resolved in the plot. The only way I would be, because the story focused so heavily on the plot in the second act, I would have been fine not giving me those questions if there was a fine emotional payoff to Shay and Vella's story.
Sure.
The fact that there's no emotional payoff to that, and then I can just, wrap it up and say, the story was about Shay and Vella's journey. I can't really say that here because I don't feel like Shay and Vella really grew that much as character, right? Like, so if they didn't grow, then the story's not about Shay and Vella. Then that means the story is about the plot of this world. And now I'm going to question every single little plot hole that's there, right? Like, and I say this about all sorts of media, like Lost. The story, it was about the characters the whole time. I don't care about the plot points.
We're going to go down a Lost hole.
But I'm just saying, but that's one of the examples I give, right? Where I can see a show or a game or something.
It cannot make sense, but if I care about the people, it's okay.
Exactly. In this case, it didn't give me any emotional payoff, so I had a hard time not poking holes at the plot of the world.
That's fair.
Right?
We had one comment at Pound JE who said, if Broken Age was a good time, check out one of my personal favorites, Monkey Island. Another Tim Schafer joint. One final question from Mr. Michael Ruffalo. He asks, what did you think about the pacing? Was it too slow, too fast, just right?
I think we can gather where I stand.
Yep.
I think it was even just the dialogue, just the pace that people are talking at. It just felt slow. I didn't mind the walking around because that's kind of standard adventure game, but just the pacing of the dialogue.
Yeah, and that's where I disagree with you. Like,
I
thought
it was
the
so
best
slow.
Part. No, they acted it right. They delivered performances instead of just reading lines.
They just talked so slow.
I think Act 1 was perfectly paced.
Oh god!
But Act 2 was like there's so much bloat.
I'm the reverse. Yeah, I would rather have faster walking, and I'm fine with the speed of the dialogue.
But you can double click, like you can.
Yeah,
zip
but just
to screen to screen.
I guess I just would rather have that, where I'm just like I can zip to like where I need to go and talk to the people I want to talk to. A little bit quicker.
Yeah, I found it especially kind of nerve wracking, like not nerve wracking, but like irritating in like jumping back and forth between the clouds and like Shellmound.
Yes.
Like that, you're traveling a lot of distance and there's no quick way of doing that.
Exactly.
Like that's where I felt the pain. The dialogue I loved. Like I didn't like I save for the conversation where I managed to skip out on really important story details. I did find myself clicking through and finishing all of the dialogue trees. And like usually my strategy is like I like just getting through and completing, like you kind of know like what will end up where, but here I found myself kind of playing through as much as I could, which I think is just a testament to how enjoyable some of the writing was, right. And then again, especially like when you swap over and Shay's on the ground and Vella's in this like the spacecraft, getting to talk to characters again from a different perspective. Like I thought
Exactly.
that was really enjoyable. Story pacing, I kind of agree with. I kind of agree with what's been said.
Yeah.
Do we have any final thoughts about Broken Age? I'd like to read off a quote from mine. It's from Andrew Webster from The Verge. It's from the article, Broken Age is the best and worst of classic adventure games. And the last paragraph essentially says, Broken Age was originally simply billed as a classic point-and-click adventure game, and that's exactly what we got. It has all the clever writing and focus on dialogue that has made the genre so beloved. It even has some modern touches, including a ridiculously charming art style that literally puts a face on almost everything in the game, from spoons to elevators. Seeing a smiling fork warmed my heart every time, but the game is also saddled with frustrating puzzles, particularly towards the end.
Yeah.
That perfectly sums up my thoughts on this game.
Yep.
I don't know if I liked it, to be honest.
And
now I don't know if I want to go, because I've always said, like, I want to play Full Throttle, I want to play Grim Fandango, and now I know if I don't know if I want to. Because if this is what the genre is, I don't know if it's for me. I love some old ones, like 101 Dalmatians and like Cruella DeVil's. There's a Cruella DeVil game.
I played that.
Yes, it's amazing.
You're in a house.
Yes.
You're in a house. I played that. Yes.
Amazing. You play as one of the Dalmatians, and like,
and you're running
the bad
around.
guys.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Oh
really,
my
there's
gosh.
the two henchmen guy.
Yes.
Yeah, I played that game.
I've played adventure games.
I remember begging my parents. I was like, I want to play that one. Please buy me that one.
So I've never played them, but like if this is what the genre is, I'm not interested.
Okay, here's the thing. If you played Curse of Monkey Island and you were just prepared that when you get stuck, you check a walkthrough to get a hint. It would be nice if it had a built-in hint system, like a throwback to a game we played a long time ago, Valiant Hearts. Had an excellent hint system.
It did.
It gave you just a little hint. It was like just enough. And if you wanted more, you could ask for more.
Yep.
But it would give you just enough to get you going. If it was something like that, that would be great. They typically don't have that. But yeah, Curse of Monkey Island. And you're just prepared, mentally prepared, like, no, at some point I'm going to get stuck and I'm just going to check for a hint in a walkthrough. Then I would recommend it.
101 Dalmatians, Escape from DeVil Manor.
That's it.
Dreamforge Interactive.
I can't believe you also played this. It's such a random. I thought about this the other day.
Scary as hell. 1997.
Scary as hell.
Scary as hell.
I did not think it was scary as hell.
I was 8.
Yeah, I think I was the same age, but it's fine.
One last thing. Peter McConnell's music in this game, who did all the other Tim Schafer LucasArts games, the music was great.
Yeah, music was great.
Fantastic.
I'm done. Katie, final thoughts?
I think I just gave them. I mean,
Travi?
Yeah, like I said, Act 1, great. I would be fine with ending at Act 1 and not getting the payoff. Not that there was really much payoff.
Payoff?
Yeah, like the Act 1 leading all the way up to the end of Act 1, great. And then it kind of dwindled for me near the end. Overall, like, I'm not off of point-and-click adventure games, but I'm not, like, gonna go out of my way to go look for another one. So,
Jessica?
I mean, I'm always gonna say yes if somebody puts a good one in front of me. Like, I'll take your 1001 Dalmatians and I'll counter you
was fun.
Goosebumps. Did you guys ever play?
No, that's an adventure game.
Okay, well you guys go look that up. It's I can't remember the subtitle, but it's a Goosebumps game where you're playing through like a horror like theme park.
Really?
Fantastic. Classic.
I'm in.
And I've played, like I said, like Nancy Drew games where like you do have that hotline system of like calling.
Escape from Horrorland?
Oh god, it's so good.
There's a puppet in it a lot, right?
I'll let you look into that one. I liked it. I think the writing.
the writing is what saved it.
The writing is what saved it for me. The art style was great. The character development was fantastic. The puzzles, some of them are great, some of them weren't great. Ultimately, like I was wishing for more on the plot. Would I say that I loved it? No. Would I say that I hated it? No. Like the game wasn't completely ruined for me. But yeah, I think what's interesting too is like, is this what was intended?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more curious about that now, hearing about the development.
That's not in the doc though. Like you never get and I feel like that's in Tim Schafer's brain, and we'll never really know. Like, is this exactly what you'd written out from the beginning? Because I'm not I'm with you.
Did it come together, or did it just did it develop the way that you wanted it to, and did it line up exactly the way you wanted it to?
I'm like, is there a version of this game somewhere in, the thought sphere of like, that how Act 1 was, Act 2 would have been the same. You know what I mean? Like, did it take a twist and it didn't really know how to stick the landing on it? And I'd be curious to know if that exists, like in someone's brain somewhere, but I don't think it will be there.
That we'll never know.
Yeah.
Before we close out, I want to invite the three of you to the Left Behind Game Show.
Oh, boy.
So I have a series of questions. I have 7 questions and one final question for you. I just want to hear your buzzers. We'll start with Jessica. I would like to hear your buzzer. Travis. And Katie. All right, so keep track of your points, and the winner at the end will receive no prize. But we will start with the first question, which is Alex is voiced by a prolific member of the video game development community. Who is he?
No idea. Nope.
He's voiced by Alex Rogopoulos, the chairman and chief creative officer of Harmonix.
Interesting.
Question 2. What was the original Kickstarter goal of this game? Dollars-wise.
Oh.
Dollars-wise?
Yeah. Travis.
300,000.
That is incorrect,
Oh,
Jessica.
I'm guessing.
Was it 100,000?
It was not.
500,000.
It was 400,000.
Oh,
300,000 for development.
Price without
and
no going
100
lower.
No, I don't think that's
Price is
right.
right.
How much did the game raise, Travis?
You said like 3 million or something.
Jessica was next.
I was going to say 3.4.
Katie?
3.3.
I'll give 3.3. It was $3.33 million.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. I agree.
So, Katie, you have 1 point. What is Vella's full name? Jessica?
Vella Tartine.
I feel like
Incorrect.
that's
I want her full name.
She has a middle name?
She has a first name that's not Vella. Vella's a nickname.
Yes, it is longer than that, but I don't know what it is.
Anyone?
Nope.
good. Not a clue.
I'm gonna give you a half point because you got Tartine.
Yeah.
Valoria Beastender
Valoria.
Tartine.
Beastender.
Yeah, her
I
middle
like
name is
that.
Beastender. What is the name of the operation that was created to purify the Travis?
Dandelion.
Operation
Oh,
Dandelion
I
is
got a
correct.
point.
So point, half a point for Jessica. What's the name of Shay's ship? Jessica.
Ah, crap.
I don't think it's that.
I don't know it.
I know this. It's like something with a B. Bellatrix Lestrange, but that's not it.
Katie?
This isn't it, but it's the... oh, no, I got it. It's the Bella Nostra.
Incorrect. You can't answer.
No,
again.
let me do it again. It's like the bassinet or something like that.
The Bassa Nostra. The Bassa Nostra.
It's the Bassa Nostra, but you guys
That's
already
fine,
buzzed
I
in.
failed.
Is it the Bassa Nostra?
Bellatrix
So, an
Lestrange.
open-ended question.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
An open-ended question. This is a second to last question. It's open-ended, so as many points as you can get.
All right.
Name the voice actors in the game. Katie can start, and we'll go clockwise from
Elijah
there.
Wood.
1 point for you.
Jennifer Hale.
1 point for you.
Jack Black.
1 point for you.
Oh, no. I know it.
5, 4, 3.
I'm out.
Travis?
Honestly, I don't know.
Oh, I remember now.
Will Wheaton.
Another point for you. Do you know any more? They're out.
Nope.
That's it?
That's
Oh, you just said
do you
Alex
remember?
Rogopoulos.
Alex Rogopoulos
Yeah.
would have been a correct answer. Masasa Moya was Vella. Pendleton Ward was Gus in this game.
Okay.
David Kaufman could go down the list. We've kind of named some of them. The final question is another open-ender. So I think at this point you have 3, you have 2, and you have 2.5. So keep track of your points because this one is another open-ender. Whoever buzzes in first gets the first answer. Name other Double Fine games. Jessica, you can start.
Costume Quest.
That is correct. So you're at 4? You're at 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah. Katie.
Can I pass?
No. You pass, you're out. 5.
I know there's one that's going
4.
to drive me nuts that I'm going to be like, I knew
3.
that. No, I don't know.
Okay, Travis.
Psychonauts?
Psychonauts is correct.
Yes.
Costume Quest 2.
That's correct.
What a cop out.
4.5 for her.
Rad.
That is correct. That was released this year.
It's basically a 1-for-1 here. Last winner takes it.
5. 4.
Does her half a point beat me?
3.
Yeah.
Oh,
2.
no.
If she gets one.
1.
No.
No. You need 2 to win.
2?
What?
No, sorry. No, you're at 4, right? You
Yeah.
need 1 to win.
I don't even know if I know one more. Double Fine.
They have tons.
I know they have tons, but Psychonauts 2, if we're going to go with that route. Is that out?
They're different.
It
Is
is
that a
not out this
game?
year.
That's a game.
It's out this year.
That's
It's not
got
out
to
yet.
be a game.
It's not a game
It's coming
yet.
out this year.
That
It's not out yet.
counts. It
I'm not
exists.
taking it, but I'll let you
It
answer
doesn't
again.
exist.
Okay.
It's not out yet.
No.
It's a technicality.
Rigged.
You got Costume Quest 1 and 2.
They're different games.
Okay.
5.
The Costume Quest DLC.
Costume forever.
I have no idea. I'm
Jessica
done.
is our winner this
Oh
time.
my gosh.
Some of the other accepted answers I would have taken: Brutal Legend, which
Oh,
we
you
spoke
said
about.
you said that one.
Stacking, Iron Brigade, Connect Party, The Cave, Hack and Slash, Massive Chalice, Grim Fandango Remastered, Day of Tentacle Remastered, Headlander, Full Throttle Remastered. Those are the games that they've made. Just a few select games that they've put out. And that, my friends, is the end of our Broken Age episode. If you want to find more about the Left Behind Game Club, you can find us on Twitter at Left Behind Club, on Instagram at Left Behind Game Club, and on our Discord. You can find the link to that on our website at leftbehindgame.club or at leftbehindgameclub.com. You can find me on the internet at Jacob McCourt on all major social media platforms and in the Discord at Jacob McCourt. Katie, if people want to find you on the internet, where can they do so?
I'm all up in the Discord. I'm Lesperance.
Travis, where can they find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter at Travis Colenutt.
What are you talking about on Twitter?
Oh, X-Men.
X-Men.
That's all I do.
You're also in the Discord, right?
Yes, I am. That's
At
Travis.
Travis.
It's just my name.
Just your name. Jessica, where can people find you?
But I'm at Travis in the
Oh,
Discord.
shoot. Oh, wait. My name in the Discord is Jess Fan. I forgot.
Because you're a big fan
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jess.
of Jess. In the Discord?
I am in the Discord at Jess Fan.
At Jess Fan.
you like yourself, eh?
I do.
And that, my friends, is one less game left behind. We did it. Wonderful.
Carol.
Carol.
What game did we play?
What game?
I have to get back into
Video game.